Now let me finish this.
If you're wondering what makes James Tucker and Mike Jelenic's Batman the Brave and the Bold so great, the answer is simple: a lot. But if we had to pick, it's the non-stop action thanks to Batman's endless lineup of iconic villains lurking around every corner. Add to that his arsenal of super cool gadgets, and you've got a recipe for justice served with a side of awesome. This fun, tongue-in-cheek tribute to Silver Age Batman first aired 15 years ago, so what better way to celebrate than by diving into 15 must-watch episodes of the series? Buckle up for a campy, action-packed ride, because here we go. Before we get started though, we've got a tiny favor to ask. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe to our channel. It's a small click for you, but it means the world to us. Thanks a lot. And now, let's begin. Deep Cover for Batman, Season 1, Episode 12. Well, of course, we had to begin with this episode here, one that's directed by Michael Chang and written by Joseph Kerr. Dare we disregard its 8.4 IMDb rating? First things first, Deep Cover for Batman introduced us viewers to the infamous Injustice Syndicate, which clearly means that there is no way we can take this episode here lightly. The episode uses a cold open narrative technique that actually leads us to the remainder of the storyline. Plot-wise, Red Hood, who happens to be the hero of a parallel Earth, ends up enlisting the aid of Batman to help him fight against the evil variant of the Justice League, otherwise known as the Injustice Syndicate, in his world. Believe us when we tell you that Deep Cover for Batman is a highly enjoyable and must-watch episode of this animated series. You're basically looking at a gem here, one that certainly falls under the list of being the brightest. To begin with, the first half of a wonderful two-parter does a great job depicting the alternate universes. Next, we have a particularly complimenting background score with just the right tempo that works outstandingly well with the frequent face-offs on display. Of course, special mention has to be given to the exhilarating fight sequence between Batman and Owlman, and the final battle taking place between the good and the bad guys. Moving on, the episode is jam-packed with a constant touch of comic relief. Truth be told, there are some pretty epic one-liners. And last, but definitely not least, the episode categorically has some rather impressive gadgets on display, especially the red spade throwing stars, and one simply cannot deny that. Game over for Owlman, Season 1, Episode 13.
Stuff. Besides, nobody kills my wingman but me.
It's important that we speak of team-ups here because, honestly speaking, who doesn't fancy one? So, how does the thought of villains becoming allies sound to you? If it excites you enough, pay close attention to us because we have a rather exciting team-up consisting of the Dark Knight and the Clown Prince of Chaos. In terms of the storyline, the second half of the two-parter has Batman coming back from the world of opposites, only to find that his own world has gone topsy-turvy. On top of that, he's even wanted all over Gotham for a horde of crimes that he didn't even commit in the first place. Of course, it doesn't take the Caped Crusader long to realize that he was not the only one playing dress-up in a parallel world all this time, and he soon finds an unlikely ally in his arch-nemesis, the Joker. Directed by Ben Jones and written by Joseph Kerr, Game Over for Owlman features some of Batman's most underrated villains, such as Clock King, Gorilla Grodd, The Brain, Gentleman Ghost, Black Manta, and Dr. Polaris. While each character featured here brings their A-game, the high point of this episode has to be the Joker and his car, the Jokermobile. Backed by intense action sequences, including a thrilling car chasing scene, the episode also pays homage to the 1960s Batman series starring Adam West, especially with the Joker reminiscing about his previous encounters with Batman in Batman's trophy hall inside the Batcave. In case you didn't know, Game Over for Owlman maintains a higher IMDb score than its first half, with an 8.6 rating. Legends of the Dark Might, Season 1, Episode 19. If you call yourself a fan of Batman's greatest fan, Batmite, then you are certainly in for a serious treat. You see, not only does this episode by Paul Dini mark the first appearance of the absolute fan-favorite Batman character in the show, but it also happens to be one of the best of the series. Legends of the Dark Might has Batman's #1 fan from the 5th dimension forcing Batman to take what he believes to be the Caped Crusader's rightful place as the greatest hero of all time. This naturally leads the Dark Knight to be subjected to an entire lot of what seems to be the wackiest and overblown ideas of the Imp and his near-limitless mastery of magic. First things first, Bat-Mite, as the self-proclaimed numero uno fan of Batman, is extremely hilarious, and so are his dialogues. As a lighthearted and highly entertaining episode, it explores the whole idea of an obsessed Batman superfan who quickly proves to Batman that he will be his biggest nightmare, one that he cannot get rid of so easily. The fact that the episode has several references to so many of the classic villains surely works in favor of the series. You can't disregard the horde of Bat villains that Bat-Mite encounters after getting knocked by an exploding device. If you ask us, that's definitely the high point of this episode. Also, Ace the Bathhound makes a fascinating entry in the episode, and he certainly steals the spotlight with his brief fighting sequence against the Sumatran tiger. Chill of the Night, Season 2, Episode 11.
And to what end, Dark Knight? What will you do once you find out?
Also penned down by Paul Dini, Chill of the Night is often regarded as the best episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, and for all the right reasons, may we add. Boasting an IMDb rating of 8.9, this notably dark episode follows Batman coming closer to confronting the man responsible for killing his parents. What he isn't aware of is that the decision to handle Joe Chill will not only determine Chill's fate, but also his own. Well, what we're looking at is an episode that is least like any of the other episodes of the animated series. Calling it just dark would be an understatement, because it's entirely based on a retelling of Batman's origin story from the Bronze Age. The whole idea of Batman discovering that his own father dressed up as Batman once at a charity costume party itself makes this episode so much more exciting, and also a personal favorite if you ask us. The voice cast also deserves a special mention here, because they were simply brilliant. Getting Adam West, Julie Newmar, Kevin Conroy, and Mark Hamill to portray the Waynes, Phantom Stranger, and the Spectre was undeniably the icing on the cake. More than a must-watch episode, we firmly believe that Chill of the Night is a very special episode that certainly deserves your recurring attention. The Super Batman of Planet X, Season 2, Episode 9. Given the infinite possibilities in an infinite universe, it's logical that two Batmans would come to exist on two separate planets. Well, this is what the Super Batman of Planet X, one that's directed by Michael Goguen and written by Adam Beechin, is precisely based on. The episode has Batman sucked into a wormhole, after which he finds himself in the alien city Gothropolis on the distant planet Zur-En-Arrh. There he meets an alternate version of him, who happens to be a crime fighter just like him, but with access to some exceedingly advanced form of technology. Surprisingly, the Caped Crusader quickly ends up developing superpowers on the planet, and while this initially works in his favor, he learns it the hard way that he is better off without these powers. If you think Batman is a thrill to see, wait till you lay your eyes on the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, because, oh boy, he is fancy, and there's just no denying that. Voiced by none other than the legendary Kevin Conroy, this episode is a sheer treat to the ears. The vibrant and stylized animation on display makes the futuristic-looking Gothropolis, one that's an obvious amalgamation of Gotham and Metropolis, visually striking. The whole episode is packed to the brim with clever references. Let's not forget that the episode quirkily and meticulously brings together two of DC's most iconic superheroes in a way that feels as fresh as a daisy. Then, of course, there's the witty banter, which is more than enough to keep the viewers entertained, making the Super Batman of Planet X a standout episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. The Knights of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episode 23. Directed by Michael Chang and written by Todd Casey and Jake Black, this reflective episode here recounts a what-if tale, marking the birth of a new Batman, one who inherits the legacy and ideals of his predecessor, and add to this the emergence of a new Robin as well. The events of this episode, which is later on revealed to be a book that the butler Alfred Pennyworth was writing, symbolize the continuity of the dynamic duo's tradition. What makes The Knights of Tomorrow a must-watch episode of the popular animated series is its innovative storytelling, making it stand out as the pinnacle of the TV series. Then we have the character designs, visual effects, and backgrounds, which are all top-notch. The dynamic duo's intense and highly engaging battle against the Joker and Joker Jr. also deserves a mention here, and dare we disregard the quirky one-liners. Like always, it's a delight to watch an episode with Joker and his nuances right on point. Emperor Joker, Season 2, Episode 19.
You see, I'm no longer the Joker you know and love. I'm the king of the world!
Any episode that has the maniacal supervillain Joker in it is going to have an honorable mention in our list. And that brings us to Ben Jones and Stephen Melching's Emperor Joker, which, if you ask us, is unquestionably a fascinating addition to the series. Story-wise, we have the Batmite inadvertently giving his fifth-dimensional superpowers to the Clown Prince of Crime, and thereby transforming Batman's arch-nemesis into a nigh unbeatable god. Widely regarded as one of the most entertaining episodes, Emperor Joker is a must-watch for all the right reasons. For starters, the song that the Joker sings is an absolute banger. Then we have the Joker himself, personifying what seems to be the destructive power of unchecked chaos, and it goes without saying that his character certainly happens to be the high point of the whole episode. Emperor Joker consistently manages to deliver plenty of thrilling action sequences that are sure to delight fans of all ages. Menace of the Madniks, Season 2, Episode 18. Nothing ever good comes out of meddling in the past, and this episode here is sheer proof of that fact. Directed by Michael Goguen and written by Jim Krieg, Menace of the Madniks is all about a little trip to the past going wrong, especially with the villainous Madniks turning into unstoppable, mutated, power-draining monsters. As ardent fans of the series, we love how this episode showcases Batman and Booster Gold's unwavering determination to stop the Madniks and simultaneously prove their friendship to Blue Beetle. Now, to those of you who don't know much about Booster Gold's character, this episode was indeed a nice way to introduce him, despite it not being the episode to mark his first appearance. Menace of the Madniks has just the right amount of humor and satire, and the episode's particular portrayal of the Hub Island Penitentiary surely deserves a special mention too. Also, actors Tom Everett Scott and Will Wheaton have delivered standout performances, bringing depth and nuance to each of their respective characters. Battle of the Superheroes, Season 3, Episode 5.
Okay, I want a new headline. Superman or Super Creep?
Be honest, wouldn't you like the tiniest bit of the Man of Steel going on a rampage of super proportions? When we say super proportions, we mean Superman twisting Metropolis's main bridge into a giant pretzel. Or say, even going to the whole extent of blocking out the sun with thunderclouds. Well, in the Battle of the Superheroes, Superman becomes a rude, selfish, sadistic creep. Or in short, corrupted. All thanks to Lex Luthor sending a red kryptonite necklace to Lois Lane. Left with not much of an option, the Dark Knight joins forces with the superdog, Krypto, to hold off the Kryptonian until he gets back to his former self. While there's no denying that Krypto happens to be one of the high points of this episode here, we cannot disregard Superman's fighting sequence with the superdog, nor can we dismiss Batman's camaraderie with the Supermutt. The Battle of the Superheroes delivers plenty of thrilling action sequences. In fact, there's a particularly intense showdown taking place between Superman and Batman, which not only exhibits Superman's combat skills, but Batman's strategic thinking as well. Also, addressing everyone who happens to be a fan of Brainiac, you wouldn't want to miss out on the villain's guest appearance here in the end. Powerless, Season 3, Episode 10. If you ask us, the task of narrowing down Batman the Brave and the Bold series to only 15 episodes is nearly impossible. But hey, we're trying to do our best here. While there's something to like about each of the episodes that we've mentioned so far, Powerless is worthy of a special mention too. For starters, if there happens to be the Batmen of all nations, then there will be the Jokers of all nations, which was made pretty clear in the teaser part. Now, moving on to the main plot, Captain Atom gets a taste of his own medicine when he ends up losing his superpowers at the hands of his old enemy, Major Force. Given Captain Atom's new position in the Justice League International, will he prove himself to be a powerless C-lister or handle himself like a real hero? Well, those of you who have seen this episode already know what's going to happen, and as for the rest, we suggest you see it if you still have not. Powerless overflows with humorous situations, and nothing gets better than Captain Atom literally struggling to open a jar of pickles in his human form, and still not being able to at the end of the day. Mark our words when we say that the episode is highly engaging and filled with witty banter to keep the audience entertained all throughout. Then there's also Aquaman's rousing song of heroism that he sings out to Captain Atom when the latter is seen bemoaning his fate and the current predicament, that believe us when we tell you just cannot be missed. Might Fall, Season 3, Episode 13. As the final episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, Mightfall does a fantastic job wrapping up the series, may we add in what seems to be the most deftest ways. Directed by Ben Jones and written by Paul Dini, the episode has the fifth-dimensional imp contemplating ways to get the show canned. Having grown tired of the show and firmly of the opinion that what was once so fresh has only become formulaic, Bat-Mite starts plotting the show's downfall by creating such an unwatchable episode that the network will be left with no choice but to take it off the air. Thanks to Bat-Mite concocting the wackiest of schemes with the sole goal of getting the show canceled, the episode is jam-packed with the funniest of situations. If you think the way Gorilla Grodd is seen converting the Gotham citizens into bananas is downright hilarious, wait till you find the Caped Crusader donning Hawaiian shorts on top of a surfboard and a sunny Malibu serving as the background. This episode is a must-watch, and there are no second thoughts about it. Darkseid Descending, Season 2, Episode 24.
You're too late. Father's home!
Truth be told, the second season of Batman the Brave and the Bold was unbelievably good for a lot of reasons. But one of the primary things that made it so exceptional was because it featured Darkseid Descending. While we will be citing all the reasons as to why this episode by Michael Goguen and Paul Giacopo is a must-watch, let us begin by stating the two obvious things. The first categorically happens to be the fact that it was the episode that introduced a new Justice League. And as for the second, it's the simple fact that it starred Darkseid. Fans of the immortal, all-powerful, unstoppable Lord of Apocalypse have to agree that Darkseid in anything is usually awesome. So naturally, this was no exception. The fact that he was done superbly here made the villain with godlike powers stay true to the whole thing of him being the most feared being in the universe. Not only did he look intimidating, but so did his dialogues and Omega Beams for that matter. Naturally, the brilliant fighting sequence between the villainous Darkseid and the heroic Dark Knight is a complete treat for fans of both characters. The episode's animation is also top-notch, and given its vibrant colors and dynamic action scenes, the animation successfully brought the battle between good and evil to life. The Mask of Matches Malone, Season 2, Episode 17. Every superhero show needs a musical number, and not just any, but one that will be remembered over the years. And this episode here is living proof of that. Well, we're talking about one of the most popular songs of the series, Birds of Prey, which, may we add, was not only fantastic, but also fun and flawless. Now, story-wise, The Mask of Matches Malone follows Huntress, Black Canary, and Catwoman pursuing Two-Face, while being oblivious to the fact that Batman, after getting hit by a heavy sandbag, not only has lost his memory, but also believed himself to be a notorious crime lord named Matches Malone. The Mask of Matches Malone does a fantastic job at balancing elements of action and humor, and also skillfully introduces the group Birds of Prey. While the trio of Black Canary, Huntress, and Catwoman effortlessly serve themselves as the high point of the series, fans of the Caped Crusader cannot disregard the latter's Matches Malone persona. It's certainly a fun episode that gives Two-Face quite a bit of screen time, and also has him taking up the mantle of Batman, even if it's for a brief time. Aquaman's Outrageous Adventure, Season 2, Episode 4. Directed by Ben Jones and written by Stephen Melching, the episode has Aquaman taking a vacation with his family. While the whole point of the trip is to broaden the mind, experience new places and cultures, and, most importantly, take a break from crime fighting, the King of the Sea finds it rather tough to keep his promise. Aquaman's Outrageous Adventure certainly deserves a spot here for being ridiculously over the top. But then again, it is Aquaman we're talking about. Aquaman, in this episode and also in the entire series, has effortlessly managed to win the hearts of all the viewers, and there are no second thoughts about that. Also, the action sequences involving the Clock King, Planet Master, and dare we disregard the Penguin here, are epic. But on a personal note, Aquaman's unending, cheesy, and yet so cute love for his wife, Queen Mera, does the trick for this episode. Fall of the Blue Beetle, Season 1, Episode 8.
People aren't just handed out powers randomly. There's always a reason. Heroes are chosen because they're worthy to be heroes.
One does not have to know everything about the Blue Beetle to watch this episode here. Simply watching it would give one a fair idea about the characters of the many people who have been Blue Beetle. Also, if you're new to the series, you can pretty much start with this episode and still find yourself falling in love with the animated series. Speaking of the storyline, Fall of the Blue Beetle has Jamie, the third Blue Beetle, determined to learn the fate of his predecessor, Ted Kord. Scripted by Jim Krieg and directed by Brandon Vietti, the episode, hands down, features some of the coolest high-tech gear. Not only will the BB gun knock out pellets and the Batarang catch your attention, you're also going to love the bug on display. The animation is top-notch, especially for the solar-powered beetle-shaped craft, Batplane, and the super androids. The narrative of the episode is on point too, given the occasional flashbacks, and we also have a solid voice cast. Fans who are well-versed with the Blue Beetle comic lore will agree with us when we tell you that Ted Kord's death was handled so much better here than it was in the comics. In short, one has every reason to watch Fall of the Beetle. Marvelous verdict. Well, that's all for today, and with this, we finally come to the end of our video. So which of the episodes mentioned have you seen or still have yet to see? Also, do let us know who is your all-time favorite character from Batman the Brave and the Bold. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and we sincerely hope you've got your fill of superhero content for today. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Please leave a thumbs up and stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye, and thanks for watching. Have a nice one.
Does.